Angel Reese on the Unapologetically Clout Chasing Caitlin Clark podcast. I think that's what it's called. Unapologetic Clout Chasing of Caitlin Clark podcast, hosted by Angel Reese.
Angel Reese's podcast, Unapologetically Angel was meant to be her big moment, a place to show off her personality and sense of humor beyond basketball. However, instead of reinforcing her star power, it ended up becoming a platform for awkward moments, unexpected drama, and a name that just keeps coming up, Caitlin Clark. As if that weren't enough, Shaquille O'Neal recently made an appearance that completely shifted the vibe of the show. Between his blunt honesty and what seemed like deliberate trolling, Angel found herself in a tough spot as both a host and basketball figure. But Shaq wasn't done. He carried his trolling over to his own podcast, making some even more shocking statements.
Shaq likes to use his position to motivate people. And I was curious, I've heard Shaq's position on it. How do guys normally react when Shaq calls them out? Have you ever seen that perspective before?
Big guys be hurt.
Yeah.
Big guys be hurt. Even when, like I done seen, I ain't gonna name nobody names, but I done seen
the kid the other day, yo man, get on my snap so you can go viral. And I told him no. He's like, why you tell me no? I was like, because what's your plan after you go viral? What you gonna do? Anybody can go viral on Monday. What you gonna do on Tuesday?
Bro.
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Why does Angel Reese's podcast keep bringing up Caitlin Clark? What exactly did Shaq say? And why is everyone talking about it? And why is Shaq continuing to troll her after all this time? Wasn't he supposed to be her biggest supporter? More importantly, what does all of this mean for Reese's efforts to stay on top in the tough world of women's basketball? Stay with us as we dive into every detail and break it down. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Ready? Let's get started.
That's Shaq giving Caitlin Clark some credit right to the face of Angel Reese. Angel Reese sitting there gritting her teeth, I'm sure.
Angel Reese's podcast, Unapologetically Angel was supposed to highlight her personality and keep her in the spotlight off the court. But instead of boosting her fame, it's unintentionally shining a bigger light on Caitlin Clark. From the very first episodes, Reese's podcast has been dominated by discussions of Clark's basketball success. Guests often bring her up, even when it has nothing to do with the topic. Social media quickly caught on, with one viral tweet joking about the Caitlin Clark Hour hosted by Angel Reese. While it was meant as a joke, it's starting to feel more accurate than Reese might want to admit. Take, for example, a recent episode with Shaquille O'Neal. What should have been a proud moment for Reese quickly became uncomfortable. Instead of celebrating Reese's own achievements, Shaq turned the conversation to praising Clark's skills, calling her the truth, and comparing her three-point shooting to that of Steph Curry.
Do you think people love Caitlin Clark besides her skills?
She can shoot threes from logo.
We never seen that before. That's my point. Steph Curry, a little kid. Like Steph Curry, I love, you know why I love Steph Curry? Because I've never seen that before.
To make matters even more awkward, Shaq openly admitted that Clark had proven him wrong with her performance. This moment left Reese visibly uncomfortable, and viewers could feel it. It was as if Reese's moment in the spotlight was being taken from her right in front of her eyes.
We've never seen before. Never seen nobody do that on a consistent basis. There's a lot of girls in WNBA that have done it in spurts, but you know, that game I'm watching y'all in the Final Four, I'm like, damn, like, and I was a hater because, you know, I'm down. She was like, she's not going to hit that shot, and bam, like, damn, she's not going to hit that shot, man. Like, if I say 10 times you're not going to hit the shot and you hit the shot, that means you're the truth.
Shaq's appearance was just the latest in a string of similar moments. Reese's past guests, whether by accident or design, have repeatedly brought the conversation back to Caitlin Clark. Whether it's praising her skills or discussing her impact on the game, Clark's name keeps coming up. This raises a question. Is Reese intentionally using Clark's fame to draw more attention to her podcast, or is it just a sign of Clark's massive influence in women's basketball, where her name holds so much weight that it dominates every discussion? Either way, it's not a great look for Reese, who seems to be playing second fill, even on her own show.
How impactful has your relationship been with Angel?
She's like a daughter to me, so I'm gonna protect her. I'll call her and just mess with her, but it's great. She's doing a great job.
As ironic as it was to hear Shaq praise Caitlin Clark on Reese's podcast, his comments about Reese herself took things from awkward to downright embarrassing. Shaq's blunt critiques hit hard, leaving Reese visibly shaken and her fans outraged. Let's dive into those shocking comments next. And if you're enjoying the video so far, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. We appreciate you taking the time to watch. Now, let's get back to the drama.
You know who you are? You're the female Antoine Jameson. You know who Antoine Jameson is? He got 20,000 points with his shot. Whatever your shot is. Like, everybody's shot ain't gonna be Steph Curry. Your shot is your shot.
If Angel Reese expected Shaquille O'Neal's appearance on her podcast to bring her support and validation, she was in for a big surprise. What should have been a moment of celebration turned into a masterclass in trolling, leaving Reese's fans angry and basketball fans talking.
He called her Antoine Jameson. Most people, trust me, she was offended.
She didn't know who that was.
She probably does. She's a basketball fan. She probably does. But, I mean, Antoine Jameson ain't cracking nobody's top 200 in NBA history. And this woman thinks she's one of the greatest WNBA players or greatest women's basketball player of all time.
The awkwardness started right away, with Shaq throwing what some fans called verbal body shots. One of the most talked about moments was when he compared Angel Reese to Anton Jameson. While Jameson had a solid NBA career, he never made it to the Hall of Fame, a sharp contrast to Shaq's own legendary status. By framing Reese in this way, Shaq seemed to suggest she was more of a role player than a future icon, a comparison that hit hard.
Oh, she can't be rookie of the year because all she do is do the flip shots, get rebound. Just remember all that shit that they say.
Next, Shaq took aim at Reese's layup technique, calling it basic and telling her, "You're too worried about what people think. Stop caring and just focus on your game." For someone like Reese, who has built her brand around unapologetic self-expression, Shaq's unsolicited advice came across as more a criticism of her entire approach than helpful feedback.
Bro, imagine you in
I'm not imagining.
Let me finish. Imagine you in the same little shirt you had on at the Wild 'N Out show, Duncan. You know how many t-shirts you gonna sell, cuz? You tripping.
Oh my
What?
God.
What?
God.
The same little shirt you had on.
Okay, all right.
Bro.
The strangest moment came when Shaq made a comment about Reese's shorts, suggesting they might help attract more attention to the WNBA. Fans didn't hold back, calling the remark creepy and totally inappropriate. Reese appeared caught off guard, and the silence that followed spoke volumes, louder than any response she could have given.
Like, I may go say some off-the-wall stuff and do that, but you gotta understand about me, everything I do is planned. For example, the Angel stuff. Y'all don't think that was done purposely?
After Shaq's appearance, social media exploded as fans analyzed every word he said. Many were left wondering why he chose Reese's podcast to air such blunt critiques. Shaq's unfiltered honesty raised more questions than answers. Was it tough love, a calculated move to stir up headlines, or just Shaq being Shaq? Regardless of his intent, his comments didn't just overshadow the episode. They highlighted Reese's struggle to control her own narrative. But Shaq wasn't done yet. He took the trolling to a whole new level on his own podcast, doubling down on the comments that had already set social media on fire. If Angel Reese thought the trolling stopped when Shaq left her podcast, she was mistaken.
It was, because I know everything I said, you dummies was gonna click, we was gonna go viral, and the big podcast network was gonna do what we do, be number one. Thank you very much, dummies.com. Everything I do was planned. So anyway, if you got a camera in my face, I already know what that's about.
Shaq wasted no time addressing the fallout from his appearance on Reese's podcast, but instead of backing off, he leaned in even harder. "Every single thing I said was intentional," he declared with unapologetic confidence. "I wanted people to talk about it." This admission made it clear that Shaq's comments on Reese's podcast were no accident. They were carefully crafted to stir up controversy. He didn't stop there. Shaq doubled down on his critique of Reese's layup technique, insisting, "It's not criticism, it's advice. But if you don't want to take it, that's on you."
Now, Caitlin plays the right way. I saw it. She makes the right play. Every time. Not all the time. She makes her teammates better. She shoots the ball. She's a great player.
Shaq's podcast episode went viral almost immediately, sparking heated debates about not just Reese's place in the WNBA, but also about Shaq's intentions. Was he offering genuine constructive criticism, or was this just another one of his viral moments? Did he really think Reese was nothing more than a role player? And what about his awkward comments about her shorts? As the dust settled, one thing was clear. Shaq's second round of trolling only intensified the spotlight on Caitlin Clark, further overshadowing Reese.
In the car, actually.
Ouch. Sorry about that. Thanks, Kayla.
Thank you.
As Shaq's comments about Angel Reese dominated headlines, a bigger story began to unfold, one centered around Caitlin Clark's undeniable influence on women's basketball. While Reese's attempts to control her own narrative seem to be backfiring, Clark continues to let her performance speak for itself, strengthening her position as a transformative figure in the sport. What truly sets Clark apart isn't just her record-breaking stats or her ability to hit deep three-pointers with ease, but her consistency. While Reese has been caught up in controversies, from social media feuds to podcast missteps, Clark has stayed laser-focused on improving her game.
Shaquille O'Neal knows talent when he sees it. Shaquille O'Neal knows a baller when he sees it.
The contrast between the two athletes has caught the attention of fans and analysts alike. Shaq's glowing praise for Caitlin Clark, calling her a game changer and a future Hall of Famer, highlights not just her skills, but her ability to inspire a new generation of players. Clark's rise feels natural, driven by talent that's impossible to overlook, while Reese's attempts to stay relevant often seem forced or lead to backlash, even outside of basketball. Clark's influence is reshaping how fans view women's sports. Her successful transition into golf is opening doors to new audiences, showcasing her versatility and breaking stereotypes about what female athletes can achieve. This move not only strengthens her personal brand, but also raises the profile of the entire WNBA by association. Shaq's pointed comments about Reese, contrasted with his praise for Clark, reflect a larger sentiment in the basketball world. As one fan put it online, Clark is everything Reese aspires to be: dominant, respected, and free of controversy. This growing divide between the two athletes is evident in both public perception and on-court accomplishments.
Shaq just called her a role player, not a star, certainly not a superstar, not a legend. Hey, you remind me of Antoine Jameson. Oh, nice player. Put up 20,000 points. No one's really heard of him. I think Antoine played at North Carolina. Anyway, Shaq slams Angel Reese to her face.
As Caitlin Clark prepares for her second season with the Indiana Fever, the stakes are higher than ever. Each game she plays not only strengthens her own legacy, but also brings the WNBA closer to the mainstream. What was meant to be a podcast episode showcasing Reese's personality and career quickly became a public lesson in the power of undeniable talent. From Shaq's sharp critiques of Reese's game to his unabashed praise for Clark, the message is clear. Clark is setting a new standard in women's basketball, while Reese is struggling to keep pace. Reese's attempts to control her narrative, whether through her podcast or social media presence, often feel overshadowed by Clark's consistent excellence and authenticity.